Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and it always saddens me when I see dying or dead old fruit trees. Well, but that's life. Stuff doesn't live forever, so yeah. Dying of fruit trees and their replacement is basically part of the cycle of nature or agriculture. And yeah, here in the area around Heidelberg, where fruit growing has been a big business for about 100 years, it has existed for thousands of years, but it became a big business in the last decades of the 19th century with the railroads, when you suddenly could export your fruit not only to other cities of Germany but also to places like Britain and Russia and Italy and so on. And that's why we still find a lot of old fruit trees from that period around here. Most of the old fruit trees here are cherries, because cherries were the big business here. Apples were more the big business in the hills here behind me. Sometimes we find old pear trees, and on very rare occasions old walnut or other trees. And here, yeah, I stopped at this garden just to look at those two magnificent old cherry trees. They are not among the oldest here in the area. I've seen older ones. This here is, well, maybe 80 centimeters, 2 2/3 of a foot wide. Probably, yeah, still well under 3 feet, I would say. Well, if you want to know it, let's see. My Crocs are size 45, so if somebody wants to calculate the width of that fruit tree, they are welcome. Well, ancient cherry trees, those were probably planted in the first half of the 20th century. This one is dead, but a good size elderberry shrub is growing in it. Yeah, elderberries are quite good as epiphytes, as plants which grow on top of other plants, and they seem to like cherries a lot in this area. Along the Rhine they grow a lot in old willow trees. Here they grow a lot in old cherry trees. Well size, a good size elderberry, over 2 meters tall, fruiting profusely. That's a small miracle of nature, although I've seen bigger ones around here. Well, here is the trunk of the elderberry, inside the trunk of the cherry. Probably I guess the cherry tree is hollow, so the roots of the elderberry must already be down in the ground. So basically the plant reaches 2 meters through the stem of the cherry and down into the ground. Yeah, as I said, a small miracle of nature, but not as rare as you might think. Let's look at the other old cherry stump. There is an elderberry growing next to it. There is some Parthenocissus growing on it, and as you can see, this was quite a rare big carpenter bee. Well, giant carpenter bees, giant mushrooms. Look at this one. This is well over 60-70 centimeters big, well over 2 feet. Well, yeah, dead trees, dying trees and dead trees are an important ecosystem. So there are tons and tons of insects in this stump. Woodpeckers making holes. Yeah, insects and mushrooms. That's the cycle of life, and that's what happens to old fruit trees once they die. And fortunately, those guys who own or rent this garden, they've planted new fruit trees so that the cycle can continue. Yeah, let's once more admire those two nice and magnificent cherry stumps, and remember the important cherry industry here in this area. There are still remnants of the cherry industry. Some of those cherries are picked for commercial purposes, but it's not as big as it used to be 100 years ago. But yeah, you still find the remnants of this old cherry industry everywhere in the countryside. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful city of Heidelberg and its surroundings. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.